through. As we usually do here, I will remind everyone out there in the audience to go to hankstrange.com, sign up for our email list there, look around the site. Lola's always posting deals. That's a good way for you guys to support us when you buy some stuff. Through our links, we get a couple of pennies for that. Helps pay the bills around here. And then also on the site, you will find the patches. There you go, Hank Strange patches that you could buy on the site. We've got this is this one right here is the blaster. This is the logo patch. And if you guys get patches right now while supplies last, we're throwing in some gun vote. Don't forget to gun vote, people. These are from the NSSF that they sent us, these gun vote stickers. And I actually have a bunch of them, so I'm going to give those out every time that someone gets some patches from us. So don't forget to do that. Big shout out to Harry's Holsters. I think, Lola, the code is Hank Strange. You get 10% off at Harry's Holsters. They make fine Kydex holsters, including what I carry. So check those guys out. And for everyone who's out there, smash the thumbs ups, share this, do all that kind of good stuff. I am going to roll in the beginning. Let's see. Yep.
Welcome back to the Hank Strange Situation.
Make sure you guys subscribe,
Lifestyles of the
thumbs
Locked
up,
and Loaded.
ring the bell so you can be notified every time we go live. And we are live, ladies. You know how we do this. Jazz hands, come on. Come on with the jazz hands. Rhonda, I know you you got to do the jazz hands, Rhonda. What's up?
I did it.
No, I didn't see it. No, let me see. I'm going to go just to you so we can see you doing the jazz hands. Come on, let's see. Enthusiastically, come on. What's the name of that lady that was in Fame? Felicia Rashad. Boom, there you go. You got to do the Felicia Rashad style jazz hands. There you go. All right, okay. It's on and popping. I hope you guys out there, I'm talking to you all, I hope you have your big girl panties on. This is episode 640 of the Who Moved My Freedom podcast. And our guests are Latina Locked and Loaded. Joanna, she's here. There she goes. Boom. What's up, Joanna?
Hello. Hey, guys. Happy hump day.
Happy hump day to you. Happy hump day to you. I don't want to say that. I'm so worried every time, there's ladies on that everything I say will be misconstrued.
Is that what Me Too did to y'all?
Yes, it's a terrible thing. Terrible thing. Yes. Yeah, that hashtag Me Too nonsense is causing lots of problems. That's Rhonda Mary. Rhonda Mary's here joining us. Yay, hey. Rhonda Mary. Yeah. Her t-shirt says entertainers are not leaders. So there you go. Boom. Check it out. You're selling those, right?
Yes, I am.
All right.
They are $20 on my Shopify. Rhonda-Mary or something like that. But it's in all of my bios, everywhere I am. YouTube, Twitter, Instagram.
Okay, awesome. You guys could go there and check it out. Joanna, do you have some kind of awesome t-shirt that you're selling?
Not yet, no.
Not up on it
yet.
Not cool
like that, yeah.
No, okay. You got to get a nice Latina Locked and Loaded. I say go for a pinup type of thing, Throw a pinup some pinup art stuff in there. It doesn't have to be you. You can make it Rolando. You can go pinup style if you want. He might enjoy being out there like that. I don't know.
Listen, there's been an idea in the 2A community to have a 2A men's sexy calendar for a long time. No one's really moving on this. It's a great idea.
Oh, yeah.
Tony Simon's gonna be on the cover.
Oh wow, yeah.
You have to think
about. It's gonna be a big cover.
Who's the audience for that calendar, though?
Good question. Who's gonna want to see that? And some of the dudes are sexy. Some of the dudes are sexy, and some of the dudes aren't. This guy, but whatever. Still do it. Do we have to be just nude with our guns or something? So you got to.
You don't have to be nude. You could just do cosplay. You could do dress up, whatever you want to dress up as. I don't know.
See, the ladies don't like to see the dudes nude necessarily, do you? That doesn't really do anything for you guys.
Not really, no.
I can't hear you, Rhonda. You went out there.
I said I could do without it.
You could do without it? Oh, okay. All right, I understand. I understand that. By the way, before I forget, check out my T-shirt. This is a Gun Nerd shirt here. I don't know if you guys are gun nerds or not, but there you go, Gun Nerd shirt. You could get that at Ballistic Ink. And this one, the Gun Nerds, we always do a theme. So who remembers that theme? We already went over that. If you remember it, let us know out there in the chat. I feel like you ladies conspire to be on at the same time every time.
I called her up. Yeah, it's all true.
Is this a deliberate thing that's going
I
on?
think isn't it like a full moon or something tonight?
Yeah. Okay. As long as you're happy with each other and hanging out on the same show, it's all good, you know? I'm not going to complain. I mean, it's not a bad day for me. You know? We could turn this into a series and do it every time. What's up?
Are your kids gun nerds?
Are my kids gun nerds? You know what? That's a tough thing to say. They are into guns. Obviously, they're my kids. I have got a lot of guns, and they've gone to some things with me, and they've shot all kinds of different guns. They're big on video games because I don't know, what do we even put my kids? What category are they in? Like, they're not millennials, I don't think. I don't know.
How old are they?
They are 20 and 21. One's going to be 20 this weekend. So
I think that's Gen Z.
Gen Z, there you go. So
Yeah.
they know video games, and they think they know about guns because they're always trying to tell me stuff like, oh, this is so-and-so. I'm like, I don't care, man. I actually shoot that stuff. You know, you guys just play it in the little video games and get all excited. I listen to them. When they play video games, they curse a lot, and it always makes Lola mad.
Really?
Yeah. They play,
But you don't care. Like it's like a dad thing. It's like, oh, whatever.
I curse all the time, like a drunken sailor.
So they
Me.
take after you.
I think so. Lola does not curse. If Lola says a curse word, we know if she says darn, we're like, oh, trouble.
God, sounds like how I am.
Yeah, Lola really doesn't curse. She curses at me. It happens, but that's how I know she's mad.
But like, do you say anything when you hear them, or it's just like, oh, that's just the kids talking or doing their thing?
No, I say like, hey, or whatever, you know. But I mean, I don't really know what I like. So for me, for the last 21 years, I have not been able to curse like I really want to. I haven't been able to walk around in my tighty whities like I really want to. My house has been, you know, dominated by these two little African princes that belong to Lola. So, you know, I feel like I've been in prison for 21 years.
You're at least halfway responsible, I would think.
I don't know. They're just boys. My kids are just boys. They're nice. They're really nerdy, just like me. You know, so they're not like the super cool people and all that kind of stuff. They're nerdy kids, but you know.
Like, so what? So how do you feel about having like nerdy kids?
I love it. That's awesome.
You think it's awesome?
Yeah, I'm not trying to be cool.
You look at them and be like, oh, they're just like me.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah, well, their mom's nerdy too. We're both nerds, Lola and I. Lola's probably the coolest one out of all of us.
I would imagine so. Does Lola claim to be a nerd, or are you just putting it on her?
She's a nerd. Lola is
she a self-proclaimed nerd?
I think so. She's very educated and very nerdy. Now, who's the smartest one? Me, obviously. But that's, you know, I'm not as educated as she is, but I have what's called natural intelligence, intuitive intelligence. That's called street smarts. That's what I have. Lola has what they call book sense, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, she has all that like college education stuff, which is good. Not knocking it, but Lola's really nerdy. She's really nerdy, but I guess she's cool. I like nerds. You know, I know women don't. You don't like nerds, right?
Well, no. Now the new thing is nerdy is cool. Like that's the thing with the kids. Like,
no, what's the thing with the women? What's the thing with the women? The women don't like nerds.
I'm a woman, and I think being nerdy is cool.
You do.
So yes.
Okay. So you're not, because this is a crazy schizophrenic thing that I see with, I'm not trying to say all women, don't everyone get up and get your panties bunched up already, but a lot of women are schizophrenic in it. They want a bad boy. You know, they want the gangster, and they don't like the nerds.
not true. That's not true. I don't know if y'all want me to go deep into this.
Yeah,
this
let's do it. We're here.
You want me to jump into it?
You like the nerds? You're saying you like the nerdy guys.
I absolutely like the nerdy guy, but there has to be a balance, right?
Okay.
So some women, I can't speak for all women, but I would say particularly what I've seen in the Black community and working with a lot of Black women in the inner city, I think sometimes we misconstrue cool for masculine, right? Or more dominant, or more maybe street smart and things like that. When in fact, I think if you have a good balance, women are open to dating nerdy guys, but she doesn't want a pushover. She doesn't want, somebody that's not street smart, that's not like aware, that can't protect her and all these things. So it has to be a good balance. And I think you have women that don't know how to verbalize what it is that they're actually looking for. So it more so comes off as if I don't like the nerdy guy. No, you just don't like the... And let me clarify, because people like to run with their mainstream ideas of things, right? So when I pushover, I am not talking about some woman that's gonna come in there whoop trying to just be all crazy with you and knock you over the head. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a woman that is difficult to deal with. That is not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is that most women naturally have a desire to be protected and things like that, right?
Okay.
So that's what I mean.
Rolando in the comments put it quite well. He wrote, "Nerds are cool, betas are not." Because there's a difference.
Exactly. And that sums it up perfectly, what I'm trying to
I think we could go down multiple paths with this. I think in general, if you want to generalize, and this is from a man's point of view, you guys can educate me. I'm not a woman, never have been. So I will not pretend to understand. I personally believe that women are completely different creatures from men, completely different. So we might have some kind of relationship DNA-wise or whatever, but we're completely different from women, and I won't pretend that I understand everything. I could just give you my perspective. I think in general, when you look at women, they always do like the bad boys kind of a thing. So what I mean by that is, if you are single, you usually find it very tough to even attract, as a guy, the opposite sex. Then the minute you get a girlfriend, it's like all these chicks know you now, right? So I always tell my kids, don't even look. You have to have that mode of you don't even care. Right? That's the thing that helps. If you're out there desperate or thirsty or whatever you want to say, I think that a lot of women don't like that. And when I met Lola, I was really at the point I was living in New York, and Lola was not from New York. I did not like New York chicks. I'm just going to tell you that. So at that point, I was consigned to just being lonely. I used to go to the movies by myself, and I had my own apartment. I had a car, worked several jobs. I was incredibly handsome, as I've told you guys before. But I would just go to the movies, go out to... Why are you looking like that, Rhonda? That's true.
Listening, I'm just taking it all in.
It's true. I would go out by myself. I would just go out by myself, and I would just hang out by myself, because all those New York chicks always wanted someone to drop them off, pick them up somewhere, get them dinner, do this thing, do that thing. It was very...
high maintenance.
Yeah, it was a very materialistic kind of thing, and that might have done something for me when I was younger, but I reached that point where I was like, man, I don't even want any part of that. I'm just going to be lonely. And then I met Lola, being, I think, from a completely different state. She didn't have that kind of mindset, and she was pretty nerdy. And you guys aren't going to believe this, but I used to do kind of like underground, independent kind of entertainment stuff. Let's put it that way. I was a producer. I was like a Puff Daddy, except I didn't take advantage of everyone I dealt with. But I used to do all kinds of different shows and things like that I would organize. And I remember one time I did this show, and I was taking some people home all women, including Lola. They were all beautiful. I couldn't wait to get all those chicks out of my car and drop them off to just talk to Lola. You know,
Oh,
so
true
yeah,
story.
yeah. But I noticed that in general, women just don't like the guys who are nice. You know, who
Well, okay, I'll let you have that. Like, nice, right?
yeah.
Even again, I said, it just has to be a balance. Women
Hmm.
don't, it's something natural in us. We want to know that we can be protected. If you cannot, and I don't know a better way
Hmm.
to say this,
Hmm.
okay, but you can't put your foot down to some extent with the person you're dating. How you gonna do it out in the world, right?
Right.
And also another thing I noticed is that guys will be like, women don't like nerdy guys.
Hmm.
And I don't think y'all are telling the truth. What y'all mean is the woman you want doesn't like nerdy guys. And so the
I agree with
example
that.
I use, right? The
Hmm.
example I always use is Family Matters. Yeah, I'm sure y'all know that show, right?
Hmm.
And you would have Steve Urkel, this
Hmm.
girl, Myra, was head over heels, freaking in love with him, would do anything for him,
But he
wanted to
didn't want
treat him.
that.
He didn't want that.
Yeah, I
He
remember
didn't want
that. Yeah.
who did he,
Mhm.
Hmm.
you know?
Hmm.
So like let's be real and talk about the balance here, because
Hmm.
there's certain girls that aren't as desirable too. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I
So
think
I
in relationships, you're right. You get what you ask for, and that kind of thing. Like if you meet someone who's so materialistic, you got to drop those. I remember one time like super cute chick that I knew, and she was, the same thing I just told you. She was like, "Oh, can you pick me up here? I got to go to this jewelry store and get." I was like, "Okay, fine. I'll take you up to the jewelry store." Then she's like, "Oh, do you want to come see something?" I was like, "No, not really." So then she's showing me some jewelry. She's like, "Yeah, I really like that thing." I was like, "Oh, good for you." In other words, it's like, oh, can you buy this thing?
hmm
Or I remember one time a friend introduced me to this girl, and she was like, the next time you come back here, don't come without any. This is literally the first
don't come
time, yeah,
empty-handed.
the first time I met her. I was like, I am never coming back over here. So I think
Well,
you
that
have to be that kind of person to discriminate like that and go, no, I'm not dealing with that.
Well, that could possibly be like a cultural thing too, right?
Hmm.
And like you said, it's really based on what you want
Hmm.
and going with that, right? Because it's not as common now,
Hmm.
but years ago in the South, if you were courting, that's what people actually used to do. They used to court each other,
Hmm.
okay?
Hmm.
You would show up at her house and you would bring like flowers or, typically like flowers or something like that.
Right, right, right. Uh-huh.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it just
This was the
depends on.
90s. This was the 90s. I don't know if you were thinking it was 1700 and something, but because I'm not that old. Look, I think relationships have to be a two-way street. And definitely if you're dealing with someone and they don't like you because you are nerdy, like I talk a lot and I'm into a lot of things. I think when Lola met me, she thought I was some kind of criminal. That's like her first impression of me
So,
because she
I
met
didn't
me.
think you were a bad boy then.
Huh? No,
She thought you.
she thought that and she didn't like me. So I
Oh,
remember when Lola first met me, one of my friends, he bought a car, but he couldn't drive. I've been driving like as soon as I can get a driver's license. It's New York, so a lot of people couldn't drive. He bought this car this day, and he was like, "Hey, can you go over there and get this car with me?" And then that's when I wound up meeting Lola through one of her relatives who I used to date her cousin. I know this is like a lot for the internet to deal with right now. Long
I
time before this.
have questions
Long time
now.
before this. Just listen to me. Long time before this. So her cousin called me up because she was hanging out with Lola, and she was like, "Oh, what are you doing? Come over and hang out with us." And I was like, "All right, whatever." We went over there. But my friend was one of those guys who only wore name brand stuff. So not Polo. What's the other? There's like I want to say like not Polo, but there was another thing. Lola probably remembers this. All his clothes was that. Me, I had like no name brand stuff on. My pants leg was like all pulled up. I wore Timberlands and all that. I had a beeper and a cell phone. They were all going off. And I had this attitude because when I first saw Lola and she came out of this place with her friend, this never happened to me in my life. there was a freaking halo around her in my eyes. There was this halo. I remember like seeing stars and stuff like that and hearing la 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 la. I was like, oh shit, this is my wife right here. The minute I saw her, I felt that way, and she hated me. And then she said, she was like, oh, I was like, hey, I came to hang out with you guys. What do you want to do? She told me, oh, we're hungry. We want to get something. I was like, oh, we could go to McDonald's. And Lola said, no, I don't eat at McDonald's. And I was like, well, okay, we can go to a diner then, I guess. Which a diner is like a step above McDonald's. I don't know if you know, like the New York style diners. But the whole time, she just couldn't stand me. I had too much attitude, and whatever. But she was actually like talking to my friend, and my friend was kicking it to her and everything. But I thought, and just exactly what I'm telling you, I was like, oh, this chick is so cool. But I have this problem where I was still me, I don't know how to like switch into another mode and be all nice and everything. So initially, Lola was like, no. But I think once she started talking to me, she realized, oh, this guy's a little bit deeper than that. He's not this thing that I see from the outside. So
that's actually what I was going to say about this, whether you like nerds or not. I think that's irrelevant. I think what is a good relation for you is someone that you can have a deep conversation with. And this actually reminds me of one of my best friends. She's been happily married for 8 or 9 years, but she always has this problem where whenever he has someone intellectual around, he slips into nerd mode, and then she feels excluded. So, I mean, I hate to break it to her, but they're not a good match.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. But the guy's a nerd.
Yeah.
So when he's around her, what mode is he in when they're together? Because
apparently he dumbs it down for her, and she feels offended when she notices that when he's around other people. So the question is, like, what?
That's a problem. I would worry if a guy has 2 modes around you, because he might have 3 modes. One of those modes you don't even want to know about.
But is it a total, like, does that automatically mean they're not a good match? Does he completely dumb it down, or is it like, that's like with me, right? If I'm with my guy and I'm not a gun girl, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not like a gun girl, and so if we go to visit Hank and Lola, and they get into this whole, they just go off into this whole thing, and their eyes just light up, and they're talking about this, and I'm just like, whatever. Is it like specific subjects, or is he consistently?
Yeah. Well, first of all, let me tell you, there's a couple of things happening there. Joanna, you can, first of all, there's a whole bunch of guys like, what? You're not a gun girl? You just broke a whole bunch of hearts out there. So, but you are into guns,
I was going
right?
to put in a yet.
I am a 2A girl. I'm not a gun girl. There's a difference.
And you own guns?
Yes, I have a few.
But you're not a gun nerd yet, like Joanna's saying. Not yet.
Yeah, I'm not like a gun nerd. Like, even earlier, y'all was talking about some firearm. I was like, what's that? You know what I mean? Like, I need to know its shoots. I need to know.
Joanna's trying to show it. Yeah, that thing that Joanna has blurred in the background. Let's see who knows what that is, by the way. Let's see who's the nerds out there. But you know what? I don't think there's... I'm going to say this. Lola is probably more like you than Joanna. Joanna is a nerdy gun girl. Okay? So, but Lola, I don't really think she's not that. She's not on that level. She'll know about some shoes or something like that, which, hey, it's not a crime. But
I also think it's a progression, because I wasn't always, and I always think that I have more to learn. So I think the longer you're in the gun world, you're going to just start picking stuff up and thinking certain things are cool. I mean, I still don't geek out like my husband does when he's watching some review video going, oh my God, this is so cool. And I'm like, all right.
Because that's a dude thing. So that probably right there is a guy. There's things that guys nerd out about and things that women nerd. You guys, what do women nerd out about? I'm going to assume shoes, but that's very sexist of me. Tell me what you... Yeah.
Actually, the craziest thing is I don't think I nerd out about any of the typical like woman stuff. Like, I just don't. And I'm also not a very like materialistic type of person. And I don't mean that in like, a bad way. Some people are just into shoes or guns or whatever that may be. I'm more so like experiences. Like I will spend a lot of money to try something for the first time, try a new food, to go like on an adventure,
Okay.
like but like shopping, it just is not very
That's
exciting.
awesome. Okay, a lot of guys ticking the box again. Like, oh, awesome. I don't have to get some red bottoms or whatever those things are called. Huh?
I said, am I winning them back a
Yes,
little bit?
probably. Everyone has their things they nerd out about.
Yeah.
Everyone has their things. Like, I could say definitely guys nerd out about guns. If they're into guns. We have our minds obsessed like that. Guys are, if they're into cars, they nerd out about cars, things like that. If they're into sports, I'm not into sports, so I don't really nerd out about that. I'm not saying I've never like watched a basketball game or something like that, but I think we just have those things, and there's different things that mean something to someone. Like what you're saying, you like the experience, and I would probably think that a lot of women like the experience of something. Right?
What do
If
you
you're,
nerd
huh?
about, Joanne?
Yeah.
What is Joanne nerd out about?
She likes
Go ahead.
Korean pop stars.
Yeah. That's my guilty pleasure. It's been 10 or 11 years that maybe a little bit less, between 9 and 10 years, something like that, where I discovered accidentally K-pop, and I was making fun of it at first, and then before I knew it, I was like obsessed.
This is how we know she's this is how we know that she likes nerdy guys. Because Korean K-pop stars, I don't know any of those guys that are like hardcore. I don't know any of those guys that are super macho.
Right.
Yeah. I can't even tell. A lot of times I'm looking at, I'm like, so this is a female band, or everyone's just androgynous right here?
I'll give them that. Yeah. I think it's just the build, or their slimmer build, and they do wear makeup, so sometimes it's a little bit, androgynous. So yeah. But I also I'm a big medical nerd, so I love reading articles about that stuff, and then pop culture wise, I love Star Wars and sci-fi and stuff like that. So
I'm starting to feel bad because now it's like I can't think of one thing that makes me nerd out. Like I have hobbies.
Do you nerd out on politics? How about politics?
Like I even get sick of those people.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
Like
yeah.
I don't like I have hobbies, I have stuff I like to do, but I can't, it's like it's nothing that's just like, oh my God. Is that bad? Am I like, is that like dysfunction?
There has to be something. You're just not telling us. I don't think you trust us enough yet.
No, seriously. If something comes to my mind, I will let y'all know. But even like, I don't even watch like really TV, or like I'm not a movie person. I'm not really good at picking out music. Like people have to tell me like, oh, this is hot now. Like you should check this out. Stuff.
Yeah, Deshaun Bowser says, hey guys, I will support whatever my girl wants to nerd out to. Laugh out loud.
That's a good way to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you can do that. Do you guys like it if a guy does that? I guess does it have to be genuine, I guess?
No, I mean, I appreciate it. Like, Rolando is very good about being into K-pop with me, even though I know that's not his thing. He supports it, so I give him props. Like, he took me to the BTS movie. They had a concert movie on a date, and I thought that was really cool.
I'm so ashamed of you, man.
But I mean, I'll do the same. Like, I'll sit there and watch. Like, he's a car nerd. I'm not a car nerd. I really tried. I sat there and I watched, and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to figure out this thing with the axle, like why this thing is so important, and I just really couldn't care. But I'll sit there and watch an episode of like the Grand Tour with him, and I'll be like, okay, this is kind of cool. So we do that for each other, you know?
I remember Lola had a phase where she liked the glittery skin people. What is that? They had like vampires and werewolves, and their skin glowed like diamonds, and I just couldn't get into that. Twilight, yes. What the hell is that? That's just as bad as K-pop. She had that phase where she was all about Twilight or something like that. She pretends that she never was into Twilight now. So, I think ultimately, if you really care about someone, you can get into their stuff. If you care about them, you'll at least spend some time trying to get to know what it is they do, just so you have some kind of affinity. I can see that. I don't think that's necessarily fake. I think that is, that is important, right?
Yeah, well, you have to have some common ground. Like Rolando, I mentioned this before. Rolando was a big video game guy, so I hadn't played video games since like the Nintendo era. And once I saw that the controllers had 2 joysticks, I was like, oh boy, this is not the same. So I had to learn how to play video games. So I felt like we had something to do when we were dating, and now I really like it. So, I mean, I don't want to play it all the time, but you gotta have some hobbies that you share.
Yeah, I feel like we need to find out what Rhonda is. I almost said Rolando.
You know what I like? Believe it or not, I really like salsa dancing. Well, actually,
really?
bachata. That's.
I was gonna
bachata?
say I've seen a video of you dancing bachata. Yeah.
Really?
I am not good at it. I'm not good at it at all.
Where is this video? Hold on. Where's this video?
I saw it on her Instagram once.
It's on her Instagram? Okay, hold on.
I took it down.
Oh, you did?
Why?
Yeah. That's like one of those temp posts. You know what I mean? Like, show everybody
Text
how
it to
bad.
me right now. Text it to me.
I didn't think you were bad. I didn't think
Come
you were
on.
bad.
Yeah, let's see the bachata. You don't want to see me trying to dance like that. I'm terrible. I don't even have hips. So I definitely can't move them.
That's something that I actually enjoy. Like, I think it's just so fun. I get super excited. I go by myself. Like, I will go by myself. And then you mentioned, do you want like your partner to be involved in these things with you? Some guys think they're too cool for that. So I think it would be cool for him to get involved and like at least try it one time. But some people it's like, I don't think you have to, like Joanna said, like, we started out playing video games, but it's just not something I'm going to do all the time. I think you should show interest, but not, you don't have to just partake all the time. But that's something I actually, and it wasn't coming to my mind because of like with the COVID stuff and stuff like that. I haven't been in like months, but that's something I think
you could dance on your own, though. You could dance on your own. Come on now.
It's really hard with bachata. I don't know about that.
Yeah, you have to be even better at it, dancing.
Okay.
Yourself, you don't have a partner kind of like to make you look not as bad,
Yeah.
By the way, Rolando says, laugh out loud, I don't know if this episode has helped or hurt me. We're just starting. This is therapy for you, Rolando. You can find out some stuff while you're looking at this about your own self. So there you go. And we're not going to hold it against you because you look at the BTK stuff with her. We're not really going to hold that against you. He's a good dude. We know he's macho. He's got the deep voice. So there you go. We know he's still macho. So you like dancing. Bachata you can't do on your own, you're saying.
Right.
Do you do salsa too or just bachata?
Like, I'm trying to get the foot pace right for salsa because salsa is quicker. Bachata reminds me kind of like a two-step, and where I'm from, we already do that, right? And so the bachata is kind of similar, but salsa.
Let me see. I'm going to have to pull up some bachata videos. Hold on right now.
She's right. It is a two-step with a little hop.
And salsa is a little bit more smoother, and you have to be a little quicker on your feet, which I haven't quite got yet. I'm a little better at bachata, but it's like really fun. And then it's interesting because dancing with every partner is different. It's like a different experience, and so it's just a lot of spontaneity to it.
Yeah.
So I would say, I kind of like. I wouldn't say maybe nerd out about it, but I would say that it's something that I like thoroughly enjoy and look forward to doing more so than stuff I just like, right? Like, because I like to do my YouTube, I like to do my social media, I like to do gun stuff, I like to go fishing, I like to read and stuff like that, but yeah.
Fishing is a good one right there. Did you lose her?
I really enjoy fishing.
You look frozen. You look frozen there for a second. Your face looked like that for a second. Yeah.
Fishing is another thing that I'm not like super good at.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not some fisherman or fisherwoman,
Mm-hmm.
but I enjoy doing it
Mm-hmm.
too. So
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure we all have things. We all have things that we're into. What kind? So on the gun tip, let's talk about this for the gun folks out there, since we're here. And by the way, smash those thumbs ups, guys. Smash them. And if you have questions too, ask me, and I will ask these ladies the questions for you. On the gun side, you don't have a lot of guns? You just have a few guns, or you don't have to give us numbers. I'm just trying to. Do you have a rifle?
yes,
You do have a rifle. Okay,
yes.
you've got handguns. I'm taking it.
I have. Let's say I have more than 3,
Hmm.
less than 20.
Okay, that's good. So that's so random. More than 3, less than 20. I don't know if
Again,
Popo's
I'm gonna
listening.
put in the disclaimer for now. That's how it
Yeah,
starts.
yeah. Or we don't know. She's probably not trying to tell us exactly. So what do you shoot the most then?
I have more than an average person. I would say that.
Okay.
I believe I have more than, or maybe more than the average person that looks like me.
Hmm.
I'll say that. I
Okay.
think that's
How did you get it? So I think you said this before, but how did you get into guns?
So when I started my YouTube, I was kind of learning more about like
Hmm.
the Constitution and laws and stuff like this. So I was already on this journey. And to make a long story short, because I think I maybe have told this
Hmm.
story here before, but I was basically in a hit and run
Hmm.
accident where it got super crazy. The guy hit me. I was going about 70 miles per hour, and he was like ramming my car, trying to push my car out of his way.
Okay, so
And
that's road rage. We're talking road rage
yes,
here. Okay.
yes, absolutely. Road rage. And once he passed me, I followed him for only a few seconds, and eventually he pulled over. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe he's like changed his mind. This is like super naive of me.
Hmm.
So, I'm gonna let down my window to say, okay, let's exchange insurance and registration.
Hmm.
And he's coming up to my window, and he starts like cursing me and talking all crazy. And he was so close to me that I could literally remember seeing like the ring around his eyes. This was like an older guy.
Hmm.
And
Can I ask, a black guy or white guy?
it was a black guy.
Black guy. Okay.
And he got out in his car, took off again. I ended up calling 911, and it
Hmm.
was a young black lady officer
Hmm.
that pulled up to the scene, and she asked me what happened. I told her the story, and she was like, "You didn't have a gun?" I was like,
Oh, okay.
What state did this happen in?
Yeah. Mississippi,
"This is
I'm assuming.
in Mississippi."
Yeah. You told us this story before, but you left out the part that the guy like was hitting you, because I don't know if you remember this, Joanna, but
Oh,
I remember
hit
the
my
yeah, I remember the thing about the female cop, and she
yeah.
asked you if you didn't have a gun. But to myself, I was like, why did she ask you that? I didn't realize there was really like a road rage thing going on here.
No, it was like a super
Okay.
crazy road race thing. Like I was going like 70 miles per hour, and he's like ramming my car on the interstate. So
Hmm.
I at the moment, like I thought it's multiple times in that story where
Hmm.
I could have died,
Hmm.
I could have become a victim, like all these things. And so when the police officer mentioned it to me, she was like, "Yeah," because I would have said I feared for my life. And it's like a light bulb went off, and I saw how that situation could have potentially turned so deadly.
Hmm.
And I felt so vulnerable. Right?
Hmm.
Because when that guy walked into my car, I'm like, I'm just young, naive. I'm not
Hmm.
thinking about situational awareness. I'm thinking how I would think. I'm not thinking about how other people in the actual real world think, right?
Hmm.
And yeah, so even though looking back, that's not a situation where I feel like I should have used a firearm. However, I would have liked to be more prepared than
Hmm.
I was. And I just never want to be that vulnerable again.
Hmm.
And so after that is when I decided to finally, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to, get trained and all that other stuff.
Okay. All right. Did you have a question there, Joanna?
No, you pretty much answered it when you said the situation's kind of, would you have been able to use a firearm in that situation? But if things had escalated further, then yes, definitely.
So
Mhm.
this is a crazy part, and I want to be, well, these are like probably gun people in the chat, but I just want to be clear talking about it from my perspective. And when I do talk about it, this is why it's so important to actually know the laws, because there are certain instances in that story where I could have used my firearm, and then there are certain seconds in that same story where I could not, right? So for example, once I chose to follow this guy, even if it was just 60 seconds, technically, according to the, possibly according to a jury, I would have no longer been in fear for my life, right? And so these are the things that I've come to now learn over time that are important for people to know. So it's not like, oh, I was scared, just go get a gun, and now every time I'm scared, I can just use that gun at any time. No, like second to second, as that situation changes, depends on if you can actually use that firearm or not.
Well, I mean, that's why we have juries, but like, I don't think there's anything wrong technically with if someone hits you, you're trying to follow them to find out who they are. Otherwise, that's a hit and run. Did you guys ever catch up to this guy? Did the cops ever catch up to him?
So I ended up getting his license plate.
Okay.
And the cops, they're not going to do much about it, but I was able to make a claim like through his insurance and stuff like that, because my bumper was like a little messed up. And so hopefully they'll be, I hope they either terminated his insurance or his insurance costs went up, so he would have some type of, I think that was my biggest thing, me feeling like, you thinking you can just do this and get away and have absolutely no consequences. I was bothered by that. And even though it wasn't like the quickest, smoothest process, I wanted him to know, like, that's not cool. You need to have some type of responsibility for this.
Yeah, probably everyone's insurance goes up after that. That's usually how insurance works. They don't really care who caused the accident. Everyone's insurance goes up.
I'm so bothered by the fact that the cops didn't, like, I feel like they should have definitely found out who that was if you had the information, and that's a hit and run.
What are they gonna go? Seriously, are they gonna show up at his door and be like, oh, we're gonna take you away now because you did this hit and run? It's like on the bottom of their priority list. And I mean, to some extent, I don't 100% blame them, as long as he could be held account in some capacity, right? Because with all the people missing and people being raped and stuff like this, I don't know if I necessarily just want them wasting time showing up at this old senile man's house, right?
Yeah. Usually the cops are going to fill out, do paperwork. Unless there's a murder or something like that, they're not really going after you. And I'll be honest, in a lot of cases like that, even attempted murders and things like that, there's a limit to how far they even go.
Right.
It's really the reason why we need to be able to defend ourselves in the moment. And to go back to what I was saying, I think this is the reason why we have like a jury system, because that can go multiple ways. If someone hits you and then you're trying to figure out who they are, and then now they get mad because you're following them and they get really aggressive. If you wind up in a situation where you feel like, hey, this person's putting my life in danger here, you've got to make these kinds of decisions. No one wants to, no normal person wants to take someone else's life or even hurt another person.
Right.
It really comes down to, if you catch that person in the wrong mode and they just don't care and they decide to try to like pull you out of that car or somehow go after you, you've got to make this decision now. And it's the reason why when we're dealing with all these things in the world, we really need to think about that. How does this go wrong? Most of the time it's a perfect storm.
Right.
Two people barreling towards each other, and both of those people just want to fight no matter what.
And the crazy thing about it is it really makes you realize how quickly something can escalate, right? This whole interaction was probably 5 minutes, maybe, right? there were so many instances where something bad could have happened to me. Had I been armed, something bad could have happened to him. And is it really worth somebody losing their life? Even this, and I'm not as mad. If we had talked about this years ago when it happened, I tend to be a pretty forgiving person, and I'll cut people slack or whatever. So I'm not as mad as when it happened, but just thinking like getting my bumper fixed for like $1,000 or whatever, and for the few cuss words that he said, was it really, worth his life? I don't think so. He didn't, other than hitting my car, which he did, and if he would have done it maybe any second faster or any harder, I mean, yes, I could have not been here, right? But just looking back, I'm just happy it worked out the way it did, and I didn't have to, go that further step, because even when you do, it's a lot that comes with it. It's not like the freaking movies, right? You're talking about months of trying to prove that you, for the lack of better words, deserved to take this person's life. And just the mental, emotional, and financial toll that can take, right? So these are things that we want to do, have to do this time.
Yeah.
Necessary.
Absolutely. Joanna, have you ever been in a situation like that?
No, I've been very fortunate.
Okay.
I've never had anything. Yeah, I think when people ask me what got you into firearms, I was like, it was fun. That's it. That's all I got. Yeah.
So it was just basically, I'm going to assume it was just basically Rolando. You got into it. You thought it was cool. You guys never, so before or after, you haven't been into anything. Okay. That's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
You don't want to. You just want to be prepared if something really happens. Yeah, and you don't have a choice. That's, you just want that kind of preparation so that somehow you react and you're able to defend yourself. And at the end of the day, that you're here. The best thing is that it never, ever, ever happens. So, let's see. I don't know how, I don't know if that's negative. I know sometimes when you talk about these things, you get back into a state. When you think about these negative things that happened to you in the past, you get mad all over again. So.
No, I'm like good now. Like, I'm the type of person, it's super weird. It's actually weird. Like, but I'm the type of person, regardless of the confrontation, like pretty much once I talk it out or take the steps to diffuse it or move past it, I'm for the most part good. Like, I'm not the type of person that holds on to like the angry part of stuff. It's just not my.
Yeah. By the way, someone's trying to holler at you in the chat.
Somebody you met in Atlanta on Saturday.
Yeah, Clinton Ox says, "What's up, Rhonda? It's your boy you met in the ATL Saturday."
You gotta read it like that?
Yeah.
Hey, Clinton.
That's what he wrote.
Also, I saw, it's a question I wanted to answer, if that's okay.
Yes.
In the chat. Brian said, did I fear retribution from the suspect that hit me? Very common for crimes to not be reported due to being harmed by the suspect after the initial incident. So the crazy part about it is this was back in more of my gangster days.
Okay.
No, I'm just but no, seriously, I was able to obtain his address. So honestly, he should have been scared of me. Because when they created the police report and I had his license plate, and I may have drove kind of close to his house.
I don't think that was a good idea, but yeah.
But so he actually should have been scared of me. But I'm the type of person, like, I'm pretty chill. I'm not a snitch, and I'm gonna clarify that in a second here. But I don't like mess with people. I don't pick on people. I don't bully people. However, right, when you are doing something to actually like physically hurt somebody, like take their property, it's all bets off. Like I don't care. You have to be responsible for those things. If it's just You know, you didn't wear your freaking mask. You wanted to smoke a little weed on like the subway or something. Maybe not the subway. My grandma could be riding the subway. But I'm just saying, like, those typical things. I mean, it's like whatever. I don't really care about that. But when you are physically trying to hurt me, I don't. The whole retribution thing like doesn't even come to my mind. It's all out the window because obviously you didn't care about me. So.
Pixamite says, Rhonda is very blessed. My pastor and his wife were rear-ended on I-75 north of Atlanta 2 years ago and have been paralyzed from the neck down since. Dude that hit him was estimated doing 80 miles per hour. So yeah, a lot of things could have gone wrong there.
Absolutely, I'm very thankful.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to? Lola's not here, so this is probably going to get a little bit off the rails. So, do you want to talk about the summit? You went to the summit this.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Tell us what's up with that. By the way, I wasn't invited. That's okay. I'm not hurt.
You were totally invited.
I was actually not invited, but that's okay.
No, that's not. You're not explaining it correctly. Oh. Anyway,
I'm not. Oh, so you know what happened?
No, but I just the way you're saying it doesn't sound.
I wasn't. I was not invited.
I was on your show, and I think I said something to you about it.
And I probably said I wasn't invited.
Anyway, y'all.
Anyway, tell us how it was. Listen, this happens. I just think it's a little ironic. You know, it's a little bit ironic. You know, if anyone's been looking at me long enough, I've made some waves because other people have things and don't invite people. I've done that already. People, I don't know how long you've been, following me here or whatever. But
you should have just come. I don't know if you know how everything was set up, but everything was set up kind of based on, there were like themes for every section of the summit. Right?
Yeah.
And so only pretty much like gun portion was the only gun portion were like they were all like trainers. They were actual trainers. Everybody else was more like politics leaning. And so that's probably the real reason. No, I'm telling you honestly.
Okay.
I'm almost positive.
Yeah. I'll just wait until I catch Maj on here again and we'll have that conversation. Listen, tell us how it was for you. I'm just teasing everyone. I'm actually very antisocial, so I knew that thing was going on, but I was not invited. But and I didn't go. But tell us how it was. If you had a good time. Obviously, there's some people here who met you when you went to it. So.
Yes. Okay. So, I was at the Solutionary Summit in Atlanta, Georgia this past weekend. This was basically
that Hank Strange wasn't invited to. No,
this was a full day kind of summit style panels talking about different stuff. So every panel had a different theme. It was mostly right because I want to help y'all understand why Hank believes he wasn't invited. It was mostly politic related, and it was mostly very geared towards, let me say this in like the most polite way.
Oh boy.
Like more like younger.
Oh, I see.
She just called you old.
I'm telling you, Joanna, you saw that, right? Basically, it was not for the old people.
No. I tried to press.
I'm teasing you. I am teasing you.
Cutest, nicest way.
Yeah.
But so just to give you an idea, now the audience was super diverse, right? So like all ages, all just types of people, like culturally and from all over the country and things like this, right? But yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. We packed out the room, surprisingly. We had the firearm training portion at the beginning, which you had actual firearm trainers. So Kevin Dixie was there. I don't know if Ken Scott has ever been on your show, and Trill Toya. I know you've had Trill Toya on.
Yeah, we've had Trill Toya and Kevin Dixie. I know.
Yep.
I know. Ken Scott. We can't get him on. We can't get him on. We've tried.
Okay.
He's, we're not cool enough for him to come on the show. That's all right. That's okay.
It happens.
Yeah. No, I've known him for a long time. He's cool.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
But so there was a first portion, and then the second portion were 3 different panels that all had a different theme. So the first panel talked about community engagement, which were probably actually like maybe the youngest of the summit. And then you had the other 2 panels that talked about like a conservative versus libertarian, and then you had another panel that talked about does party even matter, right? So it was kind of mostly more set on politics. That's the only reason why I was invited. If it was a gun thing, I would have not been invited. Like, let's be clear about that.
Okay, I understand. So I don't know anything about politics, I'm guessing.
No.
I'm pretty sure I was excluded from that because I'm Indian. It's probably that.
I'm saying you don't know anything about politics, right? But if somebody said, who's this Hank Strange guy? I don't think people would say, oh, he's a political commentator. Like, you see
what would they say? What would they say?
They would say he's a gun guy. He's a nerd gun guy.
Oh, okay. I don't know if they would say nerd. I'm pretty sure the people out there, like, if I say I'm nerdy, I don't think they know that. I think they think I'm pretty cool. Yeah. Tell us right now. Do you guys think I'm nerdy or just really cool? Yeah, I don't know.
Be honest.
Huh? Yeah, be honest.
I'm telling them to be honest.
I'm just giving you a hard time. I'm just giving you a hard time because you're here. So we'll give you a hard time. Let's see. What is this? Special K says... he says, lifestyles are locked and loaded. I guess if you're AARP, that's why you're not invited. Man, do I even qualify for AARP? I don't think so. How old do you have to be?
I think
65 for it? No.
I
think
is it not?
I think it's probably lower than that, but I'm not even 50.
Apparently they call you a senior if you're 55 and over.
Oh, okay. There you go. Clinton Ox says, yes, you are, Hank. I don't know. Yes, I am what? I'm a nerd. I'm not a nerd. I'm cool. Boss Hog says I'm just cool. So there you go. I'm going to take that from Boss Hog.
He said, though. Why you keep skipping over that one?
What, who said what?
Read what Special K said. Why do you keep skipping over that one?
He says Hank is an old gun nerd. Maybe. That's probably true. And then Clinton Ox says, love you, though. So I'm guessing he's agreeing with the nerd. Let's see. Puerto Rican Pistolero says 55. So there you go. Kathleen Music Lover says 50.
I thought it was 65.
No, 65 is a little bit too high.
No, it's definitely in the 50s because apparently the stores give discounts. So, they have the senior discount thing. That's at 55.
And even it's crazy now, even that I'm thinking about it, right? Like, even if we think about the actual life expectancy ages, like, it's kind of crazy. So, 60.
Matt Morrison says, my buddy got AARP card at 45. First of all, I don't even like AARP. They're too liberal. I'm not down with those dudes. No, I'm not giving them my money to be supporting Hillary or some nonsense. So that's not happening. So I would never do AARP. So there you go. And Armin and Access says he's a year from senior. So there you go.
65 for Medicare.
Yeah. So was it fun? Did you have fun? Joanna, I know you guys didn't go. Did you and Rolando look at that live?
Oh, we didn't yet. I think we still have a chance. Like, Maj has something where if you pay $20 to his Black Guns Matter, he sends you the stream. So we're thinking about doing that. I think you have until the end of the week.
Okay.
But we wanted to go. Rolando's actually a little bit mad at me because I was the voice of reason and was like, but we have these other things to do that weekend. And he was like, but I really want to go. So every time he looks at footage of it, he goes, man, that looks so good. And then he kind of just looks at me
Rolando,
like,
I wasn't there.
Like,
I wasn't there. You did good. You're all right. I wasn't there, man.
telling y'all, if y'all missed it, you should not have missed it. I only got good feedback. Like, people were like, this was awesome.
Yeah, usually
It's crazy because even the AV people, right? Like the people that did the lighting and the camera work on it, they were like, this was the best event we ever did. And when I heard them say it, I'm like, really? That was like, as far as
they say that to all the girls.
Don't hate. But no, seriously. They were like, as far as content wise, they was like, it was engaging all day. They never just felt like bored or like, you know. So
okay, I feel like go ahead.
He's in the comments right now saying, I very much wanted to go. I'm sorry.
Yeah, poor guy.
I promise if they have one in 2021, we'll go.
You know, Rolando, you went with her to her BTK, one of those things.
BTS.
Yeah, BTS thing, but no, she couldn't go. See, that was like a useless sacrifice. You know, you went there and then she couldn't even let you go to Atlanta. She was afraid you were going to see some big booties. That's what it was. I'm just going to put it down.
Where's Lola? Let me call
Lola is not here. Lola, seriously, she's not here. She is not here. She's up to, who knows what she's up to. So, Clinton Knox says it was awesome. Kermit Loves Bacon says, if Hank is an old nerd, he got enough game to have you lovely ladies on. See, that's because, they just want to come on the podcast. That's it,
No, it was totally Lola. Let me be clear about that.
Oh, it's only because of Lola? You don't like hanging out with me then, basically. I see. I know.
She just give you that extra sauce.
I'm sure when you were over there in Atlanta, you didn't look around and go, something's missing. You know what? I don't see old Hank Strange around here. You didn't even think about that. You were just like hanging out with all the other cool people over there. I get it. I understand. I get it. Red Bear says that BTK movie, Laugh Out Loud, real romantic. So, let's see what else. What other comments we have here? This, I don't know if that's relevant. We'll see what's going on here. Okay, so Raymond Williams says, it's okay, Rhonda, I'm here. So, at least, there you go. There's folks out there. Did a lot of people come to Atlanta to meet you? Or there were probably a lot of folks in Atlanta that already follow you, right?
Yep, it was a lot of people there. Well, I won't say a lot. Like, let me,
No, you can say a lot. You can say a lot.
I mean, it wasn't a lot, but it was quite a few people there that recognized me.
Yeah. I only see you on Instagram throwing up pictures with dudes.
And one of my biggest supporters, he's like my one of my VIP patrons. He's been super supportive of me, trying to help me get to 10,000. He actually lives in Atlanta, so I didn't even know he was gonna be there. So he was there. The part that freaked me out though, let me just admit, okay?
Oh boy.
It was one of the younger ladies, and it was, I'll just say it like that. It was one of the younger ladies that was at the event, and when she came up to me, she hugged me, and she was like, "You're one of the main people I used to watch on YouTube when I was young." And I'm thinking,
getting old.
Flag on the play. First of all, I'm not old. Second of all, I only been on YouTube for a couple years. So what are you saying?
That's a lifetime for a young person. Yeah, Joanna, why is you? Joanna looks confused. Like what?
Is she younger than you?
Yeah, she's a little bit younger than me. Not much, but I was just kind of taken back by it because.
You'll get used to it. I meet people all the time. They're like, "Oh, I grew up watching you on YouTube." I'm like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I've only done YouTube for 7 years.
But think about it. Remember when we were kids and how time went by really slowly? Yeah. It was time goes by faster as you get older. So years in kid brain is
Yeah, but
so
also
2 years,
also Rhonda
18,
is old. She's also old. She's getting real old now. Soon she's going to have some white dreadlocks.
I must say, I was flattered, right? I was flattered. And then it's inspiring, it's motivational, but it also reminds you that you never know who is watching. You really don't know, right? And so it was very motivational and humbling. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. And yeah, I mean, even though I kind of like, like the record scratch when she said it initially, but when I thought about it, I was like, that's sweet. So I felt good about it, though. But it was a good time. I enjoyed myself.
Okay, cool. Did you have any questions here, Joanna? Before, none of my evil questions.
About the summit? No, I just feel guilt.
Yeah.
I feel so much guilt.
Obviously, you didn't care about the summit, Joanna. You didn't care. You could care less.
It was my brother's birthday, too, so I got to spend time with my family that day.
You got to pull the brother's birthday on us.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't say that before, so I'm not. You just made that up in the last 5 minutes.
No, I swear.
Your brother has a birthday every year, though.
Yeah.
I'm just.
That's a good one right there. Okay, well, happy birthday to your brother. Okay, happy birthday to him. Yeah.
I regret not going. Rolando's actually pretty. He's very, very nice about it, but I could tell he's very upset he didn't go.
Ooh, I have to ask Rolando. I had to answer Rolando's question. How do I forget?
Oh wait, who was her favorite person to meet? I don't think I want to know. But go ahead. Who's your favorite person to meet at the show?
This is so crazy. So, like, this is a true story. So, a couple of months ago, every Tuesday I do my, like, Hey Y'all Tuesdays and stuff like this. And I follow Judge Joe Brown on Twitter, so I just mentioned something about him.
Yeah, I think I saw that picture, yeah. Hold on. I'm throwing up your Instagram right now while you're talking. Go ahead. Okay. So, there's a guy who has a red T-shirt on that says entertainers aren't leaders. And, is that Joe Brown? Oh, yeah, it is. You guys are the same height. Actually, you're a little taller than him. Well, you got heels on.
It was the shoes.
Huh?
It was the shoes.
Yeah.
It was the shoes.
Okay, cool. Oh, here's this looks like Kevin Dixie on the stage, trying to look all coolio smooth. When you're Kevin knows someone's taking a picture of him right there. Just look at that. He knows someone's taking a picture, so he's trying to look off to the side. And then who's this guy? Is that Devin?
Yep, that's Devin.
And there you go, right there. Boom. Okay, very cool. Go ahead. I'm listening. We're listening to you. I'm just looking through your IG here.
Okay, I think one of the pictures has Devin in it, and that's a guy named Aaron that works for the Blaze. But anyway, so yeah, I was just casually talking like to my supporters, and I was like, yeah, y'all. I was like, I'm gonna interview Judge Joe Brown one day. Like, I'm gonna just totally interview him, and I was just, because I think I'm drawn to people that are not like confined or in the box of what like I'm really drawn to like strong personality types for some reason. Even times where I may think they're like a little, maybe, I don't want to say overboard, but even in instances where I don't agree, I just tend to want to listen to them because I know you're not being stifled or controlled, right?
Okay.
And so I just kind of had this admiration for Judge Joe Brown. I was like, yeah, I'm going to interview him one day. And at the time that I said it, I had no clue how, when, where this was going to happen. I actually thought like I was just going to work my way up to doing like a virtual interview. And he just happened to be at the event. And I was like, yeah, like, give me an interview. And he was like, okay. And so we sat down for, I don't even know how long the interview is. We sat down for a little bit and we just talked. And I'm not going to be able to upload the full video to YouTube just because, like I said, he just says whatever. He does not hold his tongue. And so, I respect that. I respect his opinions, though I may not agree with all of them or the way he says things. And also, us YouTubers, we just don't want to be, we do a lot of work building our platforms, and we're just.
Oh, so you don't want to put his interview up on your YouTube channel? That's what I'm hearing.
I'm not gonna put the full interview on YouTube. I'm gonna do some clips of it, but the full interview will be available on my Patreon.
Oh, okay, all right, that's cool.
I know people snitch on me or try to get my video banned or try to get my channel demonetized and stuff.
What was he? Was Judge Joe Brown cursing or something?
Not like the hardcore cuss words. He was just saying the stuff you could see on
Yeah,
your.
I mean, you could always bleep that out or something like that, you know.
No, it was more so the topic.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
it was
I
the
mean,
topic.
look, I threw up. When you come on, like for example, we had you and we had Jafari. Was Jafari Jones, right? Was it
I
Jafari?
don't.
It was Jafari from BLM 757. We had you guys on. I put that up on my channel, even though lots of people were mad.
So forget
Oh,
them.
well, okay. I'm saying that same thing to you about your channel. You could put Judge Joe Brown up there. People might get mad, whatever.
No, this is different.
Uh-huh.
This is a thin line between what some people would like call like hate speech, and I just don't wanna. I just yeah.
Okay.
And then I got to motivate people to come to my Patreon anyway, so it's a
Yeah,
win-win.
that's true.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, you guys, if you want to see, because she's getting all mysterious about it now, what's your Patreon?
Rhonda Mary. Just search Rhonda Mary
Okay,
on
there you
Patreon.
go. Boom. Go check it out and see what's up.
And I said, like Judge Joe, like he's hardcore. Like he's not going to hold his tongue, which is cool. I'm not tripping off that.
Mm-hmm.
But also, right,
Mm-hmm.
like I've noticed that I don't know if this so much matters to me, but I do think about this as well.
Mm-hmm.
Is that we live in a time where people think just because you talk to somebody, you're like endorsing them or validating everything they've ever said. You could stand by somebody in a picture and they will swear you're endorsing something they said in 1992, right? And I try to be, cognizant of that as well.
Yeah. Red Bear says doing some Farrakhan posting. I like it. I don't know. I'm not sure what that means. I don't even know who Red Bear is talking to, but shout out to him. So I'm not sure who that. You can let us know specifically what that is. But
He probably said that when I like in regards to when I said like the borderline hate speech thing. But
yeah. I listen, when that particular interview that you or that podcast that we did that Jafari was on, you were on it. Folks out here's the crazy thing about that. There's people who are like, "Oh, can you bring some different people on cuz it's just like we're preaching to the choir." Then I bring the different people on, people get mad at me. If you don't know me well enough to know what I believe, then you don't know me. But bringing on someone so we could talk to them, that's just getting that person on the record.
These people are soft. They're soft. Like, and the media will have you believe that only one political side, or I really can't say one political side, but I'll say that for the sake of this argument. They'll have you believe that only one political side are snowflakes, and it's just not the case. Like, we got the snowflaking going all around.
I
remember the podcast where you had Edgar on, and he was going on and on about Edgar. Anarchy. He had some people really riled up.
Yeah, Edgar. Yeah, Anarchy. Yeah. You met Edgar when we did that panel. You met Edgar at Guns for Everyone. Yeah, people got mad at him. There's a couple of things he said on there. I don't think he said anything that I got mad at him. That's who he is. But some people's belief. Here's the problem. If you believe something, that's in your heart, your soul, whatever it is. That's within you, your mind. You're the one who has to make peace with what you believe. If someone else stating their belief to you triggers you or sets you off, the issue is with you. You could say whatever you want to. I remember, and I haven't even made a clip because I thought to myself, man, if I keep, and I've got clips I could throw up for like the rest of my life, right? From all these podcasts that we do. But I was thinking, man, people are just getting mad about this. I don't know if I really want to just keep spending time and putting it out there. But there was a part, but the entire podcast is up and anyone could look at it. And there's a part where he said to me he doesn't believe in the Constitution. And I was like, okay. That's too bad for you. Constitution, there's nowhere else in the world that has a constitution like what America has. Right? We said something to that effect. So the thing is, because someone says something and you don't believe in it, you don't have to get mad and fight with them to prove your point. You're just listening to that person and what they believe. Right? and it doesn't affect who you are. But I think that there are people out there, especially when we're talking about BLM, Black Lives Matter. I think there's people who are so mad and they've got so much pent up aggression and frustration over that subject that just the mention of that, they feel like they need to react to it because they've got all this
But
stuff
how,
pent up.
but how is that different?
Hmm.
Like on a surface level, right?
Hmm.
How is that different from Trump derangement syndrome?
It's not.
It's not
No.
different. It's the
Okay.
same thing.
Yeah.
If you are going to completely shut down
Hmm.
just because somebody's name or a name of an organization is said, right?
Hmm.
Like that's all it takes, and you freak out.
Hmm.
You don't want to hear what's being said.
Hmm.
It's the same.
Hmm.
And some of these people will never tell you the truth. They pretend to be freedom of speech. They pretend to be so open-minded, freedom of thought. No, you're not.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like,
Night Train
like
says that dude said a lot more than just believing in, not believing in the Constitution. I think so, but he put himself on the record. He put himself on the record. It's not me. If anyone wants to know what I believe or what I support, I talk about it Monday to Friday. And definitely you can ask me and I could tell you. But I think at the same time, it's important for us to listen to what other people have to say, even if we don't agree with him. And I think he said that he doesn't believe in violent protest, right? And from what I've seen, he hasn't really done violent protests. I think that, in that situation where he got arrested, they told him not to block the traffic. They blocked the traffic, they got arrested. That's not what I consider like burning down a town or anything like that. So it would probably be a different conversation with a person who believes in that. But here we're just having a conversation with a young person who is out there doing what they believe that we know going in is contrary in some ways from what we believe and maybe aligns with some of the things that we believe. But
and the crazy part about it is I know this may be like mind blowing for some people to even believe, but if you sit down and talk to somebody for 2 hours, it's a chance that within that time it may be something said that you may agree with, and
mm-hmm.
it may be some things that you are not like
Yeah.
that you won't.
Yeah.
What's the chances of sitting there talking for pretty much anybody that long and agreeing with every single thing they said? It's plenty of stuff
Mm-hmm.
that Jafari says that
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah, I mean, that ain't my vibe. Like, that's not my thing, but okay, But he has the freedom to believe in those things. And just because we have these conversations doesn't mean people should try to attach you or I to this person. It's funny because the same people that will get mad about your interview with Jafari will turn around and say, why do people get mad about Joe Rogan talking to people across the aisle? Well, why do you think? You do it too,
I think
right?
everyone does a little bit of that. A couple of months ago, there were people. So I had a guy come on who's a friend of mine that's a police officer in Connecticut, and he came on the show. And lots of people here lost their mind in the chat. They were just mad at him. Even though he's a gun guy, he believes in the Second Amendment, but he's a police officer in Connecticut. And we were having conversations about, things, and everyone got all mad or whatever. On the flip side of that, right now, there's everyone trying to prove how much they back the blue or whatever. I get it. I get it.
So you see that same problem in the 2A community. Like whenever something happens that like newsworthy, it's like I'd see my Twitter feed and my Instagram feed like explode with everybody arguing with each other, even on the same side, and people don't respect their other people having a different opinion, and I think that's the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just have to listen. I think, for example, Jafari, a lot of things like there were things that you were saying, but he didn't want to. You were saying stuff about him, Rhonda, and he didn't even want to confirm it.
Right.
I was asking him stuff, but that he probably told you, but didn't like for some reason when he got in front of this audience was like, I don't want to discuss that now. Go ahead.
Well,
and you're frozen for some reason. I'm not sure what's going. Is that just? Oh, there you go. You're back.
And even me, right? Like I was challenging him on some things, because it's like, how you gonna lead this organization and some of these things you don't know or you won't say this and the other. And I think that's
how can you have Black Lives Matter in the name of your organization, but you're going to say you don't know what Black Lives Matter stands for? That's not actually that's I don't think that was genuine. I think he knows, but it's just one of these. It's a thing like we were talking about before this. We were talking about that rapper YFN, right? There's a lot of rappers that probably have YFN or RBD or SBC, AP, whatever, in front of their, like I know there's a lot of ASAPs. Like there's ASAP Rocky and some other ASAP out there, right? It all means some nonsense. So I think it is a situation of that with the Black Lives Matter. He probably agrees with some of the things, disagrees with some of the things. If you're gonna put your name, if you're gonna use that name, then you have to be ready to answer questions regarding that.
Absolutely. And I wanted to say on this point of like people getting mad because you want to talk to other people, right? So I put out a post saying like I want to talk to a police officer. Like I want to interview an officer while the protests and the riots and all these things are going on. I literally had a guy, and this guy was always being contrarian in my comments anyway, like always trolling me, always putting words in my mouth. And so he came under my post and said something about like, why are you looking for an officer? I'm looking for an officer to talk to. Well, why would you ever do that? Who do you think are going to take our rights? You're not a real libertarian. I said, first of all, I never told you I was a libertarian in the first place. So, like, one thing people are not going to do, you're not going to tell me who I can and cannot talk to. You'll never do that, right? I specifically want people coming on my show that I don't agree with. Like, those are the people that I actually want to talk to. And so for you to even think you're going to tell me what to do, now I want to do it that much more. And that's why I'm the type of person, you were basically like, well, I don't know if I should antagonize these people by keep posting the clips. Yeah, you should challenge people, right? Like, I feel like, screw them. Like, if you're here to, something about me brought you here, right? Either you're going to listen to me or you're not. But one thing I'm not going to do, I'm not going to pander to people.
Yeah. So I don't think, let me see. Let's go back a little bit. I don't think that I'm worried about antagonizing people. I think if we're talking about, so like if I'm having this thought process and I think, oh, every time I put this up, everyone's going to get crazy and then it's going to get lots of views. If that's all I was concerned, because once you go in there, you get all crazy and you start fighting with each other on any of my videos, it's just gonna rock it up. That's what happened. Yeah, I've put up videos like that. So the stuff I put up, Kevin Dixie and myself talking about NFAC. I put up a thing with me and Maj talking about NFAC. Guess what happened? All the NFAC, the pro NFAC people got up on there and started carrying on. What they don't realize, they just pushed that video up. Right. So, but here's my thing about it. To me, I'm putting up these things mostly, so the podcast exists. It lives there. Anyone could come over to this channel and see it. When I'm putting up those snippets, yes, it's nice to get a lot of views and stuff like that, but I want people to see, oh, we're having these conversations, and then they come over to this channel and check this out and participate in it and see that we're not just talking to each other, we're reflecting what the audience wants to know, plus we're talking to each other and different people. But if it's not going to serve anything other than people are just like, oh, I don't want to hear anything from this person, or this doesn't do, I'm just mad while you're talking, that doesn't really do anything. I want to put up things that's going to help people. If this was all about being popular, that's my problem. This is one of the things that Lola tells me all the time. It's easy to do the popular stuff. I could tell either one of you guys how to blow up your channels. But for me, I'm too nerdy, right? It just doesn't serve a purpose for me to do that. When the purpose of talking to that guy was because people said, we want to see what these guys have to say. We want to listen to them. Now, if you listen to that, if you look at it, which a lot of people looked at it and said, okay, I looked at this. and I think this guy's full of it or whatever, I respect that. But when you're just getting mad just based off of the fact of what's in the title, that's where, to me, like, I'm losing, where it's a waste of time, right? Then I'm just clickbaiting you into doing something. And literally, if I put up a video and it had NFAC in it and it went up, then I would just spend the rest of my life doing it. So what I'm trying to say to you is I actually don't like that. I could very easily look at the things that are trending and go, let me do this all the time. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay, it looks like she's frozen again. You're frozen, Rhonda.
Am I freezing?
Yeah.
So regarding having, Rhonda, you said you wanted to have a cop on. So I have a multifaceted feelings about police officers. I know good ones, I know bad ones, and I have different feelings about them. So I don't really fit into, I'm a bootlicker, Blue Lives Matter, but I also,
what does that mean?
I'm neither.
What does the bootlicker thing mean? I've seen certain people talking about that.
It's like people
let me tell you, right? Because it's on one of my T-shirts. So let me jump in.
Okay, yeah. Enlighten us.
It is literally like it's a subservient attitude. Like, I'm at your feet. Like, whatever you want. Let me not only shine your boots, I adore you so much, I will lick them, right? And so you have some people that it's like they pretend so I'm trying to figure out, you told them to put their big girl panties on, so let me
absolutely, yeah, just go for it. Give us the raw version.
So let me use Mike Dunn as an example. So that's the bug boy that came up during
the conversation with Jafari.
Yes. So and a person like Mike Dunn, and not even him specifically, but I'm trying to just kind of paint a picture here. So maybe not him specifically, because he has a little bit of controversy around him, but let's just say kind of like the bug boy vibe, right? Those guys can go out in the streets with their guns. They can talk about not letting the government step on them. You can't come take it. Don't tread on me. Like all these keywords, right? But if somebody that looks like me, and I don't want anybody trying to tell me otherwise, this has been my actual experience. Like me starts to say these things, it's automatically the assumption with a lot of people, I'm not going to say all, oh, you're Black Lives Matter, oh, you're a Marxist, oh, you're taking up for criminals, oh, what constitutional rights don't extend to you? Is it because you're Black? Is it because you're a victim? I'm literally saying these same exact things these guys are saying, but for some reason when I say it, it's different. So what I mean when I say a bootlicker is somebody that you hide the love of government overreach behind. You try to pretend that it's some type of patriotism, but those are the same freaking people that are gonna come to take your guns. When right now, when it's not at your front door, it's, oh, they're just doing their job. I want you to keep that same energy because it's coming. It's coming. We just talked about this when I was on your show, I think last week. If Joe Biden was to win, right, it may not happen immediately, but we know the direction that these people are going. They said in the open, you had Beto O'Rourke coming out and say, yeah, hell yeah, we're coming to take your AR-15s. Who do y'all think is going to do it? Beto and Nancy Pelosi is not going to show up at your door. It's going to be your neighborhood police officer. So I naturally have a respect for good people, honest people, genuine, authentic people. I believe in none of your principles. You don't mess with me, I don't mess with you. However, I am not naive enough to believe that police officers every freaking day enact or carry out unconstitutional laws. They're
don't have to go so far as to say in the future if Joe wins, and Beto's going to be knocking on our doors with cops taking away our guns. I mean, you can see it right now. You can see it with who's getting arrested and who's not. You know, there was today something about somebody who was in their house in the news who was, you know, had a mob around his house. The mob didn't get arrested. The guy in the house got arrested because he had a gun. I don't know the details.
What state was that?
Milwaukee. That's Milwaukee.
Okay.
That happened today, I think.
Yeah.
Now they're saying he's a known racist. I don't know if that's true, because I mean, I've been called a racist, and that's hilarious to me. So, you know,
I mean,
the details.
Technically, any race could be racist, but
yeah.
I guess.
You
know, or see, this is the thing about words and where we put them and how we put them on people, right? I think I understand what you're saying, Rhonda. I think so. I can't speak for other people. I know here before all of this, like I just told you, I had a friend come on that's a police officer. Everyone got crazy. Now, he's a police officer coming on knowing at the time when he came on, we were talking about red flags. And I see people having that conversation in the chat right now. We were talking about red flags, and no one's happy about red flags. And what device who do they use to execute these red flags? Police officers, right? So this is a complicated conversation that I was trying to have, and people don't see the nuances in things. So this one guy who comes on that's a police officer, but also a gun guy, you have to be able to look at it and go, that he has a job, right? Now, yes, we think, listen, hold on a second. We think that the idea of people going out there, the whole mechanism of red flagging people, we think that's wrong. The first place that we need to fight that's in the law. When we have these, we've been talking this whole time I've been doing this podcast about cops, right? And the fact that there's probably too many police officers. I'm not saying defund the police officers, but there's too many in certain places, right? And there's not enough vetting, there's not enough training, there's, you know, the oversight, all of those things aren't happening. But ultimately, there's too many laws. And so the first place to start with this red flag stuff is, why is that a law? Right? And now when you're looking at a police officer and he has to enforce this, and even we asked him this question, because it's complicated, the red flag thing, and it depends on what state you're in and all of that. But ultimately, we all say, hey, this whole idea of red flags that they're doing, it shouldn't exist. Some of this law has existed for a long time. There's mechanisms that have existed for a long time for police officers to take guns away from people before we started calling them red flags. But it could be the same exact thing or a similar thing. Ultimately, the person on the street doing that job is doing their job. You know, the question that it comes down to, and I was in the process of asking him this, is what if the scenario comes up that you're talking about, Rhonda, that they're like, hey, we're taking these guns away from people, you know, and we're going to send you guys out there to take away guns from people. Not bad guys, not someone who's crazy, not someone who's threatening people. Like he was trying to tell us about a scenario where they went to someone's house and the guy is seeing people that are not there, and he's saying he's going to, you know, start shooting these people, and he's got neighbors and everything, and they had to do something. What happens in the scenario that the government says, we're taking guns from anyone who has them, you guys are going out there to do that? And he was saying, yeah, I'm not going to do that. That's when I'm going to quit. That's when I'm not going to do this job. I don't think every police officer believes that. I think ultimately there's some police officers that are going to do that and some that are not. And it's going to come down to, regardless of what bravado anyone has, if you're on your own or it's just you and your family, you're making a decision if you're going to die and if your family's going to die over the guns that you have. And whatever decision you want to make there is all good. Some people, depending also on where you live, it's going to be a completely different scenario if they try to go there and say, oh, we're coming to take these guns.
But why, who gets to pick the virtuous constitution where the line is drawn, right? Like that may be your line. But what about the person that feels like, a no-knock raid,
Mm-hmm.
like this is unconstitutional. What about the person that feels like stop and frisk is unconstitutional? What about the person that gets their property confiscated and they're not even convicted, and the government doesn't return that property? These are still constitutions that have amendments
Mm-hmm.
that have to be looked at. And so why, if I say these things like I'm the bad guy, I'm a
Mm-hmm.
rebel
Mm-hmm.
rouser, like I'm no, like
But here's the thing. But so here's the thing, and Joanna, you could jump in here. If you, it depends on who you're talking to. If you're talking
and
to me, Rhonda, if you're talking
that's
to
the
me, I don't. But this is life. This is how human beings are. This is how human beings are. Every person is seeing the world through their own eyes, and they have their own opinion. So if you're talking to me and I'm looking at you and you're out there and you're deciding, hey, I have the right to march with my gun and I'm going to do, I don't have any problem with that. That's not a problem for me. I don't care if you're black or white and you're doing it. But there's some people who do care about that. There may be some people who are going to look at it, and maybe because you're a black person, they have a problem with it. If we're talking about the NFAT guys, I think, I'm not going to say no one in the gun community. Most people in the gun community supported those guys' rights to do something. When something happened, people also have the ability to talk shit about you. That's just how it is. It happens all the time in lots of different ways. Now, I get them thinking that, oh, they're just talking about this because we're some black guys, but I've been in the gun community long enough to know there's plenty of white guys that have done stupidness and people talk about them. So it really depends. In that case, it depends. When it comes to stupid laws, as a person, you've got basically two choices. You fight those laws on your own in that moment. Someone's coming to try to take your guns away or whatever it is, and you're like, nope, not going for it, and you decide to fight. Maybe you win, maybe you lose. Or you fight that with a group of people that have your back, okay, or you fight that legally. So maybe that's like three choices. So we can go out there and we can legally say we're trying to get rid of all these things. We have to get rid of this. We vote or whatever. But if we come as a group to a conclusion that we're not going to take this anymore, me personally, I'm sure that there's a group out there of people that if Biden becomes president and he's like, we're taking these guns away and we're going out there to take the guns, there's groups of people, there's whole towns, there's whole counties, cities, states, they're going to be like, no, you're not actually coming over here.
I guess. I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
No.
go ahead, Joe.
I was gonna say I always use the Patriot as a good like metaphor for the line that needs to be crossed. And you see in the movie Mel Gibson's character just waiting until it's like they keep pushing and pushing and pushing for him to finally boog. So everyone's different in terms of when they're ready or what finally pushes them over the edge. Some people are already ready, and I personally think that this country is set up for a civil war in the next couple months. But I hope not, and I hope it can be resolved otherwise. But it's gonna come to a head where everyone's gonna have to make that decision about how far they want to go with this. And you're right. I think it's gonna be whole towns of people. And I think going back to Leo's, they're gonna have to make that decision coming up. So my personal friends, I've been telling them you should look into a second career.
Well, some of them have already made the decision, is what I'm trying to say to you. I'm just trying to tell you something. These decisions have already been made. We have these things called sheriffs in counties around the country. Okay? This happened a lot in Virginia. There's sheriffs that are like, nope, you guys can make whatever laws you want. We're not going to enforce it here, right? So in situation, I'm just trying to tell you statistically, if you're a badass and you can fight on your own and you think you're Rambo, good for you. Okay? But the best way to fight is with other people. And sometimes you have to, like, I don't feel the way you do, Joanna, and I'm going to tell you why. We both live in Florida. And this is not the only reason, right? This is all about how people handle stress, the way they're seeing things. I don't feel like we're going to be in civil war based on who becomes the president. That's me personally. And I know where I live, and I understand the people around me. Now, maybe your location, even though it's in Florida, there's people there that are going to try to do stuff. My location, that's not going to happen. That's not me telling you that. That's the people who live there saying that. That's my sheriff and other people like, no, that's not happening. We're not taking guns away from people. We're not letting anyone roll through here and try to take guns from people. This is police officers and all of that kind of stuff that I know that are like, yeah, we're not doing it. But I know there's some people, based on where they live, how they feel, they're looking at it. Jafari said we're already in a civil war. I don't know what he's talking about. He hasn't gone through anything that the people that fought for civil rights before us, he hasn't gone through anything more than what they've gone through. Those guys were getting beaten up, arrested, tortured in prison, all kinds of crazy stuff happening to them. He just got arrested, and then they followed him. But that's his own personal feeling, like, oh, we're in a civil war because I blocked traffic and they arrested me. I could tell you, I've got lots of friends who fought for civil rights, and that's a really nice day. You see what I'm saying? So I think it's just based on your perspective and you thinking that look at the people outside. Just look out your window. If your town's on fire, you might feel like we're in a civil war. But if you look out the window and everyone's going about their business and going shopping and partying, getting their hair done and doing this thing and that thing, I don't think so. Not so much. Sorry. Let's Rhonda, I know you got something to say.
I just want to be clear. Like, if you don't believe, like, in applying the entire Constitution, you are not a patriot. I do not see what's patriotic about that. I do not understand why people get to gatekeep the conversation. And if I say this has really already gone too far, and it seems to me if you're going to call yourself patriotic, you should stand up on these issues as well, but you get to decide from your little pristine community or whatever, that's not that bad. What they doing to y'all over there, I mean, but when they come to take the guns, that's when the civil war starts.
So let me ask you who specifically, because a lot of times if we're talking about non-specific things, it's tough to deal with that. Who specifically is saying that?
I just feel like when we had this conversation, so I literally asked this on my Twitter. This was a couple of weeks ago. It was kind of like a trick question. I said, name the 3 congressmen that actually believe in the entire Constitution, right? And stand by it. People literally went to naming 1 to 5 of the same names. I'm like, y'all don't get that that's actually a problem?
For sure,
like, that is you have hundreds of Congress members, and y'all are sitting here telling me it's okay that none of your freaking Congress members actually believe in the federal law of the land?
So what I'm trying to say to you, who thinks that's okay? Because I know I don't think that's okay.
Most people.
Okay, but but I'm just trying to say this to you. So like the anonymous people on Twitter and YouTube and stuff like that, or even the people here in this chat who we don't actually know, they're anonymous people. We don't know. That could be one person with 10 accounts. We don't know who that is. Like, who do you know? Who do you know that's actually, like, I'm definitely not down with that. There's the people here, anyone who I see, I spend a lot of time, if you're a politician where I'm at, or I don't know, nationally, locally here, and you don't believe in the Constitution, I'll spend my time saying, this guy doesn't believe in the Constitution. I've fought with other people here on my show where they're like, oh, I'm going to vote for this guy anyway. I'm like, I'm not voting for him to go anywhere. He doesn't believe in the Constitution. So I think that, yes, there's people like what you're saying, and I would say most people in America are like that. They're not holding these people accountable, and they keep voting for them. But this is an overall problem. If we flipped over from who we are, or I'm just assuming who we are, and we look at Democrats, there's a crap ton of Democrats who don't believe in it either, and people keep voting for them thinking that they believe in the Constitution. They keep saying Constitution.
But Hank, you're sitting here saying that, but if people can only name 3 Republicans in the Freedom Party that actually believe in the Constitution, that's problematic. So like, all I'm saying is, so oftentimes, like, when I talk about stuff like on YouTube, on Twitter, if I talk about stop and frisk, if I talk about gun control, right, and heavy regulations,
Mm-hmm.
if I talk about these crazy amounts of bail, if I talk about asset forfeiture, oh, you're being a victim. Like, are you kidding
But
me?
but what I'm saying to you is, I understand what you're saying, and I think that you're right. There's people
But
like that.
but
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 correct
this is
me
the
if I'm wrong. Like, for so far as I know, most of the people that like within my reach, the people who've been here and all that, we don't like any of that stuff. We don't like that. We're
But what
trying,
I was saying was
Mhm.
maybe not with like your particular audience, and I don't super watch like the comments here.
Mhm.
But what I'm saying is the funny thing about that is the same people that say that to me
Mhm.
will turn around and be like, "Oh, when they take our guns, they're crossing the line." It's like, to me, you ain't been seeing they've been crossing lines forever. So
Mhm.
I just, and I feel
Mhm.
now, I use the word feel, right? Because I feel this way,
Mhm.
is that I feel like you have not necessarily like the commentators and the gun guys and the gun girls, but I feel like it's this gatekeeping, right? Of the Second Amendment and what it means and who it's for. We can try to pretend like it's not, but even the Constitution. That's why I brought up Mike Dunn earlier, because we can have some of those parallel ideas, but people will respond to me
Yeah,
completely
but
different.
so I don't know. So here, I'm just trying to figure this out, right? And Joanna, if you've got some insight, let me know. This is me guessing. A lot of those people that are communicating with you are probably some FUD dudes. Just saying. I'm just trying to tell
They're
you. Yeah, they might be gun people because they have guns, but do you know what a FUD is? Do you know what we consider a FUD? Since we're talking about
I,
definitions
they're
of
not
things.
like a dork or something.
Huh? No, 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 no. A FUD is a guy who has guns and says they believe in guns, but they don't really, all this stuff that you're talking about, they don't understand. This is what we're trying to say. That guy who's like, "Oh, I don't care. I just use this for hunting, so I don't care about an AR-15. I only care about my, 30-30 that I use for hunting or whatever." That's someone like what you're describing to me, and people could tell me out there, sounds like someone who's a FUD. That's not us. Like, or the people who I think are following me are not Joanna and Rolando and a lot of folks out there. We're like, no, we believe in the Constitution. We
Yeah,
believe in that.
Rhonda, there's something that I say all the time. It's that gun people aren't 2A people. 2A
Mm-hmm.
people are a minority within the gun community.
Mm-hmm.
I have this conversation all the time with people who are gun people,
Mm-hmm.
and I had someone who was a gun owner tell me they didn't know what the Second Amendment was 2 weeks ago. I swear.
Oh,
I
I would
said,
believe there's lots of people who own guns and they don't know about the Second Amendment. I
I
believe that.
was just,
You do believe that,
I
Hank?
believe there's a lot of people like that. Am I wrong?
yeah,
I don't
that
think. I
you are
think.
not wrong. You are not wrong. I have this conversation all the time because, look, I meet all kinds of even law enforcement officers, gun enthusiasts. They come in with their gun shirts and
Mm-hmm.
their paraphernalia. So I'm like, oh, I have this thing where I
Yeah.
like to pick out who the
Look.
gun
Let's look
people
at the
are.
NRA. Those
Yeah,
5 million
yeah.
NRA members. They don't even know that the NRA took their money. I'm just telling you. We like what we're talking about, like this little community thing that we're in here with the, however many people are out there right now. We are a tiny little percentage inside of that 5 million.
Hmm.
I don't even know if we're I don't even know if we're 500,000, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, a good way to look at it is go look at the follower count on gun bunnies, like real gun bunnies,
Mm-hmm.
who all their pictures are guns and boobs. Okay, all of them. Not one shred of actual content.
Mm-hmm.
And see how many followers they have versus someone who you know is a fantastic 2A advocate,
Yeah.
That's true.
But I think
girl
a
or
lot a
guy.
lot of these guys. Why do you think people like Maj so much?
Mhm.
Why do you think they like him? Maj gets it. He understands it. Now, yes, there's some people who are going to be threatened by him or this person or that person, right? But they get it. I think Kevin Dixie gets it. He understands what we're saying. He's not, none of us are fans of it. We haven't decided to rise up or anything like that, but we're not a fan of it. I don't support, there's tons of Republicans. I spent a lot of time talking about that. I make fun of Trump just as much as I'll make fun of anyone else. To me, I don't trust any politicians.
So I guess, and this is why even coming into this, I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to make it clear, like, I'm not a gun girl.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not a gun girl. I am a 2A girl,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is about, like, freedom for me. I'm not super geeked out and nerded out. I don't know the newest, hottest AR or whatever coming out. I just really don't know. However, like, as somebody born in America, I want all of those rights to me. And if you cross the line on any of those, to me, you are crossing the line, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to my neighbor across the river or across the road. I don't care who you are. I'm not going to look at you and say, oh, that right. I mean, whatever. But when it comes to guns, now it's like go time. Like, no, like, keep that same energy. And so I think we are failing. We are failing if we are not helping gun people cross over into 2A people. How do you keep your 2A if it's just a gimmick? It's just a toy. It's just a prop. If these people have an audience, we need to be convincing them to talk about 2A and the principles behind owning that firearm.
I think you're right, but we need to talk to them about the whole thing. Right? The whole thing that enables that, which is the Constitution.
Right.
This is the reason why I was having the conversation with Jafari. If anyone wants to go look at it, I don't know if you think I was unfair. I let him say a lot of stuff that I could have been gotcha on him. It was never my intention to invite him or anyone else on so I could beat him up. I'm not a bully. I don't enjoy doing that to people. But I let him say stuff until he talked about the Constitution, and I wasn't mean. I just said, dude, you don't understand this Constitution and why it's important. Just because there was slavery, that's the past. That got fixed. We're now. We have to make things better by moving forward from that. It's not to forget about it, but we have to live in the present and think about the future with a mind on the past. Like, hey, this happened. Okay, good. But we're all here now, and we have to move forward. If we actually lose that thing that we have in America, I challenge someone to go live in another place and find out about that. It's really weird. Like, I don't know if people get this, but the country that I was born in, which is split between black and Indian people, was the first place I dealt with racism from black and Indian people. Okay? Then I lived in England and I dealt with that. Then I went to Nigeria in Africa and looked at a lot of people who are my genetic relatives and dealt with racism from them. And it's one thing when you could blame it and use the crutch of the white man, and another thing when you look at it and you realize all human beings are like this. And all human beings do these things to each other. And then the only thing you have as a human being is your ability to fight back, and whatever rights that a group collectively gets together and say, because we could say that we're all born with something. If you can't defend it, you don't have it. Okay? So collectively, people have to get together and fight for that. And say, no, this is the one place where we all get together, and this is where we'll go to war over this thing. And this is why it's important. It doesn't have to be perfect, okay? So I think I understand where you're coming from and your frustrations, but you have to realize we're actually like a small section of all the people who own guns.
And maybe this is, so I think that helps me understand more, because I guess that's something that I'm either just learning or hadn't really even considered. And sometimes I get that feedback and I'm like, it's really annoying, because sometimes I feel like I'm more of a patriot than the people with the don't tread on me flags. Like, don't try to gatekeep that word. You don't even believe in the freaking Constitution. And it's like, it's sad to say, because I'm not, when they put me on the TV with looking like this with my red hair and this and the other, they're not going to hashtag me or title me as patriot or patriotism. Like, so I feel like it's a gatekeeping thing that goes on, and it's somewhere between the media, right? The media, the translation of, like you said, a big percentage of people that don't even really understand why they're able to own those things, those tools in the first place.
Yeah, I think it's a weird thing. The reason why I was asking you about bootlicker, I've known, so for example, and I'm not trying to talk about anyone, and they're not here, so anyone has the opportunity to come on and talk about their thing. But I noticed Devin called Kyle Rittenhouse a bootlicker. Right? I noticed that. I actually follow you guys. And I look at what you're saying and all that kind of stuff. And I know Devin's got, he's definitely got some stuff he's angry about. I don't understand how that kid becomes a bootlicker just because he wanted to be a cop when he was younger. I don't get how that translates to that, because I believe that anyone, if that was a black kid that was in the middle of a whole bunch of white people fighting for his life in the same scenario, I would support him. If that was a white kid fighting a whole bunch of black people, okay, however you want to mix that situation up, that kid in that scenario fighting for his life and being outnumbered, I get it. I'm not going to go and say, well, he was like a lifeguard and he wanted to be a cop, so he's a bootlicker. That doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not trying to get you to explain anything for anyone. I realize that people come up with names and then they start using it against people. This is the problem, like with the language. When we communicate, we come up with things, and if it becomes hurtful, then people want to use that to hurt other people, and I've seen that a lot. And I don't think that everyone takes time to think about it and parse it, right? So,
I also, again, think that sometimes it's complicated how you feel about certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, clearly he's got a very strong viewpoint on police officers.
Mm-hmm.
I have a more middle of the road where I criticize them, but I also see the virtues in them. So, everyone's on a different spectrum with, how they view people.
Yeah, I think, and so, yeah, that's a whole, by the way, let me get this out. Chris Bullis says, I thought Rhonda was harder on Jafari that night. Harder than Hank was that night on Jafari.
But I felt like I had to challenge him, right? Like, as somebody that, and I don't want to say I had to as some type of obligation, but as someone that kind of brought his story, because I think you ended up finding him from me, and I'm still learning about him. I'm not completely, I say, hey, it's some things I like about this guy. That doesn't mean I 100% know him or 100% like, I'm endorsing, I vouch this person. And so some of these things I was learning too. And I think it's fair for me to give you some pushback.
Yeah, I think you were fair. I think you did it. I don't think it's so easy for me to beat up on someone. Let's just think about that, right? And the format of what I'm doing here, most of these people are on my side. Now, if I turn on you two lovely ladies, these are mostly dudes. I guarantee you they'll turn against me. Even the ladies will turn against me, right? That's just how life is. But for the most part, if you give me a reason and I'm like, oh, I could go in here, everyone's going to be on my side if I go after that guy. That just doesn't make any sense. Like, what sense does that make? You guys tell me what sense that makes. I invite someone on here, and then they give me an opening, and then I just go in like this is Fox News or something like that.
Like you should never go in on a person. People will kind of like, expose themselves or highlight different things about themselves. You don't have to. Even with me, I've only done a few interviews so far, but I just ask people questions and the audience will take from it what they want. You don't have to try to do any super like, ta-da, like I got you, like moment. You know what I mean?
It's not good. It's not good in this format. It's just not good in this format. I don't think it's.
And even for finding those commonalities, right? Because like I said, even us trying to expand, trying to figure out how we can use gun guys and gun girls to expand on the actual 2A message, because those are commonalities that we have. You don't want to burn bridges or, it's not about trying to make people look bad or anything like that. Also, can I address a comment? Real?
Okay.
Sure. It's nothing major. It's nothing major.
Okay, what is it?
Somebody said something about Rhonda is the type of person that judges the book by its
Who said
cover.
that? Who said it? Can you see?
I can't even find the comment now. It's like a.
Are you only seeing
Pedro,
the stuff that says Rhonda? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's easier to see the stuff that has my name in it.
Right.
But
I don't know. Did you see any of that, Joanna? I don't know.
I did. I saw that one pop
Yeah.
out.
No, I
and
think. Go ahead. Go ahead. You want to address it? We'll let you address it. Go ahead.
I want to address this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I am not sitting here pulling things out of thin air.
Mm-hmm.
If I am talking about these things, I am looking for solutions
Mm-hmm.
to bring more people on board into particularly the Second Amendment community.
Mm-hmm.
It is hard to do that. I've had these conversations. I built my whole freaking YouTube on talking about the media and how deceptive they can be.
Mm-hmm.
That includes the gatekeeping of certain topics.
I see where you're coming from.
Years,
Mm-hmm.
for years, the media has made a huge effort to make Black people feel like gun ownership doesn't belong to them. I've talked about this from a personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
Me growing up, only thing I saw in the media was white supremacists, gangsters, and school shooters were the only people that own guns. Mm-hmm. So either y'all say y'all support guns, you say you support the Second Amendment, you are either going to add to that narrative or you're going to take away from it. It's one or the other.
Yeah, by the way, it was Motorboater. He says, I think it's safe to say Rhonda judges books by their covers.
So
and he ratted his own self out, by the way. He came up and said he was the one who said that. Yeah.
I'm not pulling these things out of thin air. If I am saying these are actual conversations and actual feedback that I get in real time.
Yeah. Well, I understand what you're saying about the gatekeepers, and I think a lot of us realize that there is such a thing. I'm just trying to tell you that there's groups within groups. And I
did that tonight, and I accept it. I took that feedback from you, and that's going to help me moving forward know how to look at things differently, right?
Yeah. And I think you have to listen to those kinds of things when you're hearing that from people. There's people who I talk to, and like you said, I realize these people may own guns, but they don't understand this whole concept. I think this is the reason why people got mad at Edgar. And I don't know if I feel that same way about him, because maybe the audience out there hasn't spent as much time, which I haven't spent a lot of time with him, but I've actually sat down across from him and talked to him. But when you say you're an anarchist, this is just what people hear, right?
Right.
Oh, anarchist, so you don't care about the Constitution. So I don't want to get into a whole thing or whatever, but I think that, so for example, Edgar we were having a conversation about the police and people calling the police. But if you're an anarchist, everything's crazy, right? You don't have any rules. People could do whatever they want to. So people could call them, not call them, and all those kinds of things. If people don't really know where you're coming from, I don't think they truly understand that. And it takes time to get deeper into who that person is and understanding where they're coming from, because it's really not true to say that if someone is an anarchist that they just don't believe in the Constitution. But there are a lot of people who are anarchists who don't. So.
I just want to say, you have your followers over here, you have your supporters, but I want to remind people, y'all can say whatever y'all want from y'all perspective, but if you actually care about the 2A and how it's being represented, you may want to be a little bit more open to actually listening, right? Not just hearing. This is, some people, they don't like when things are not being said to them in a certain way. And this is where the communication issues come in. And I talked about this earlier. If we cannot find these commonalities, you're going to lose the 2A.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. Well, you are on track, right? And then you have people like me that come in and I'm literally telling you what the media does. I'm telling you the winning message. I'm telling you how to expand the message and make it relatable, make it easy to understand. If you find that problematic, you probably deserve what's coming down the road. just keeping it real.
Yeah,
Like,
you know what I think? I think it is there's going to be communication problems between us just based on age, culture, and all these different things that are not. It's not a bad thing, you know. And I think it's how everyone looks at everything. If you're listening, like I'm trying to listen to you. I know I run my mouth a lot. I talk a lot, you know, but I'm trying to listen to you, and I think that we're kind of on the same plane. You know, it's just we're trying to figure out what's the communication language that we actually use to talk to each other. What are the words? And this is why you should ask questions like, what does that mean? You know, what do you mean by this? How do you look at this thing? Or what do you think about this thing? Because I think we have more in common. We're just maybe coming to this from a different point of view. And if we have this thing in common that we believe in the Constitution, and all of it, not just the Second Amendment, right? That Second Amendment might be that enforcement part of the Constitution for the people, right? Versus the people who are leading them or ruling them, or however you want to look at it. If we understand that, then we just need to get on that same level and understand it. Sometimes people, you know, it's just certain things. If you say this, it means that to them, right? And they might take it more seriously than you meant it. And that's the whole reason why I even brought up the bootlicker thing, because I don't know if people are using that in the right context. So if you're saying it, someone your age or who understands where you're coming from sees that a different way from someone my age coming from where I'm coming from. Here's that thing.
I also wanted to say, I think that, Rhonda, you are an idealist, because you said two things tonight that made me think that you think too much of people. I think people in general aren't going to, if I'm going to analyze human nature, people don't care. Most people, I'm talking just the majority of people, don't care enough about things that they think they care about. I see this in different aspects. I feel like people always think that they're good people and they believe in this or that, but then when they put, you know, when it comes to the actual what did you do for this, most people won't do that. I see that a lot. I'm really big into volunteering. Not a lot of people, they're like, I love kids. I'm like, okay, well, do you volunteer and help out with this stuff? It's like, no. So same thing. I love guns. All right, cool. Do you do anything about this? Absolutely not. And I just think that's human nature. Same thing with tribalism. You're going to have the fudge. You're going to have the tactical. It's like what I like, and that's all I care about. So I think that's one. You think too highly of humans. And that's not a bad thing. It's just I've become more cynical, and I've seen the bad, and I do think that, you know, that's what we're fighting up against, human nature. Two, politicians. You said something where there's like 3 Republicans who actually believe in the Constitution. I am a cynic. I think I've said this before on the show. I keep wanting like these new people who are all running for office. I get really excited about certain candidates. And I'm like, I really hope they don't get corrupt once they make it in. But the more and more I read about what happens once they're in the Senate or whatever, I'm like, well, let's see how long it is before they got bought out too. So, I mean, that's really cynical, but I think that's the reality of, you know, the swamp and politicians. Do they actually care about the Constitution or the U.S.? Absolutely not. I don't believe that. Maybe a few of them do, but I think the majority of politicians in Washington, whatever side of the aisle they're on, they only care about themselves, their own power, and making money.
Yeah, the Constitution should never be political. No part of it. Not the Second Amendment, First Amendment, whatever. None of it. I'm trying to look at. You see this thing here? This should never ever have anything to do with politics. So it shouldn't have to do with whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. If it's in here, it's just the way it should be.
And I think I can accept some of that, Joanna. I understand where you're coming from, and I think, you know, to an extent I can, you know, say that you're right. I think with me, so I'm the media person, so I don't know if people know this about me in the chat, but or if they don't, I'll tell them or remind them. But I literally built my platform off telling people, like, the media lies. This is how they lie. This is what they lied about. This is how you counter that. I guess I'm getting to the point where I'm tired of people talking about a culture war. We're losing the culture war. This is happening, that's happening. And I literally say to people, if you want to combat that, it's super easy. It's not even hard. These are the ways you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just very simply. And it's like you said, like people don't really care. They don't really care. So my thing is I just ask people to be consistent. Like if you don't care, stop complaining about, oh, the media is representing gun owners this way. Oh, we're losing the culture war. Oh, we're losing our 2A. Stop complaining about it. You don't care. You've made it clear you do not care. Because when I say, you're right, these are the tactics they're using to do it, and this is how you combat it. Now I didn't went too far.
Yeah, most of those people don't even vote. Let me get this, because I know we're over time. This is one of the things with you guys. Like I think you guys are really interesting. Usually it winds up me and Rhonda talking mostly, though, and we don't give Joanna and she's brilliant.
Right.
I'm not just saying that, Joanna. You are brilliant, and you're awesome, despite your like of Korean boy bands. Yeah. You're awesome. But I think we would obviously need a lot of time. But let me get this one thing in from Motorboater, who said that particular thing. I just want you to hear his comment that he put up here, and there's a whole bunch of comments. He says, most of us are disgusted by the state of the 2A and agree with most of Rhonda's points, including me. That's what he said.
Okay. I just wanted to, it wasn't like no beef or nothing.
Yeah.
I wanted to address and let people know, like, I'm not like trying to SJW y'all.
No, I don't think so. Yeah. Red Bear says there's a point there, lack of action. I think that's what you're saying. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think ultimately, so many people are just comfortable. And this is the reason why people don't want to fight anything, because they're comfortable and they're enjoying things. And a lot of people, including in the gun community as a whole, not everyone, there's a lot of people who are like, hey, I've got my guns. If they come for stuff, they're not going to take it from me. Just people won't be able to have it. I don't care about that. And I think that whole idea, like you're saying, is dangerous, and people need to start paying attention to it, and that's what we're doing here. But we're not a big, massive community, so that's why everyone's looking at the whole. And I think that you're right about the whole. If you look at that, it's true. That's how it's not just being reflected to you that way, it's being reflected to us that way, and we're kind of like, we're just as sick and tired of it as you are, and what we all need to do is figure out a way, how do we use these things that we have going on to help that. Not just to bring up the people who are younger, just coming into something now, but how do we connect to the people who are older, and how do we get them to understand this? And a lot of that is why I'm doing this. People see me arguing with some of my friends on here. And if you think about it, if you really go back and look, you'll see that over time, some of them have changed, because they're starting to understand what's, where we have this way of communicating with each other, and we're upgrading all of us when we're doing it, right? Because someone hearing you say this now, if they really think about it, they're like, you know what, she's right. Maybe instead of just shouting at someone because I think they don't get it, I need to figure out where they're at and how to communicate that to them and make them understand how important this thing is.
Absolutely. Can you read Brian's last comment? This is an awesome,
Okay.
Like.
Do you want to read it? I'll pop it up here if you want to read it.
Okay.
Yeah.
He said, we were losing the 2A culture war until COVID and BLM riots. Now we need to leverage that newfound appreciation of gun ownership into voting for 2A preservation. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's, the message that we need to spread, because you can talk about what's being done wrong all freaking day till you're blue in the face, but until you are expanding your message and making it relatable, think about, like he said, all the people that went to own guns after COVID. Now take advantage of it. Use that, right? Counter what the media is doing. It's it's so much opportunity here. And I guess I just kind of get frustrated when instead of people seeing that, they try to like make me the problem. So yeah. But Brian, that was a great comment. So I just wanted that.
Well, listen, we have to do this again. We definitely have to do this again. I'm gonna wrap it up just because I have to. I can keep going here. I can keep going.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I definitely feel bad. Like and by the way, Joanna could talk, man. When she gets going, I think she's just being patient with us and listening, and not interrupting us. But here's the thing I want to invite everyone to do, because I'm gonna get these lovely ladies to tell you guys how you could communicate with them and follow them, and I'm gonna ask you to just really do that and show them some support here if you understand what this is all about. You know, help them out, follow them, but don't just follow them, you know, when they post stuff, because I'm looking at what Rhonda is doing. When they post something that you like and you get it, repost it, for crying out loud. Okay? Help them get the message out there. But we're going to start with Joanna, because, you know, you're awesome. Tell us, like, what you do and what the folks can do out there to help support you.
You guys can check out our YouTube podcast. We are on every Sunday night at 7 p.m. on YouTube. We are the Locked and Loaded Latinos, and we talk about two-way politics and what's going on that week. And sometimes I rant, like I did last Sunday, about. I was gonna mention it today. I was gonna bring it up.
Yeah, you will see that Joanna could talk. Yes.
I had a little TED talk on my last podcast.
Right.
If you don't catch us live, the show goes up afterwards, or you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that jazz. And then you can find me on Instagram, Latina Locked and Loaded, and Facebook. We have the Locked and Loaded Latinos.
Yeah,
Facebook
I
page
see
as
Rolando's throwing that up here. By the way, Rolando also comes on here as well. We try to split these guys up, you know. And then Rhonda Mary, how can the folks follow you? You're not on Facebook, right, Rhonda? I don't think so.
No, I'm just Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I am Rhonda Mary on pretty much all platforms. Rhonda Mary. Stop trying to make me Rhonda Marie. Like, it's racist, okay? I'm just kidding. But Rhonda Mary on all platforms. I'm about, I think, like 300 people away from 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. So definitely go ahead and give me a thumbs up or a follow on there. I'm probably most active on Twitter. I like to engage. I like to pick people's brains. I like to challenge people. Like, some people may call it trolling. I call it challenging people, making them think a little deeper than what's just being presented to them. So yeah, let's chop it up. Let's connect.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see someone saying that you should post your YouTube link. It's Rhonda Mary. Pretty easy. Yeah.
Just like,
if you don't find it, I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
Mary, I pop up super easily. Just don't try to ethnic it. People be trying to make me La Rhonda Maria and all that kind of stuff. So just Rhonda Mary, you'll find me.
Absolutely. So thanks so much to you guys. Thanks for everyone out there for hanging out with us. Big shout out to Harry's Holsters. I'm going to run in the end. You ladies, stay right there. Thanks so much, guys. We'll be back tomorrow. I have no clue who's coming on tomorrow. And Lola's not here to remind me. So just come back tomorrow and find out. Let me roll in the end. Make sure you guys smash the subscribe button. Ring the bell so you can be notified every time we go live. We are going to rip the audio out of this and throw it up on iTunes and all the other places that you listen to your audio podcasts. I appreciate all of you guys for hanging in there with us. We're out. Let's see. Who wants the last word? Should we do? Rhonda, you want to give it to Joanna? Yeah, Joanna. Last word. Make it good.
Last word. Everybody, make it their challenge this week to go and talk to someone and make them care a little bit about their Constitution.
Amen. Well said. See, I told you she was awesome. We're out. Peace.